Yo, what's good? It's the Theslykrow. How y'all feeling? And we back at it again, man, with these critic reviews. Critics, man, critics don't tell me how my day is going. And that's a quote from Eminem. And apparently, we have this whole debate once again with the critic reviews, and with the latest culprit being Saints Row Reboot. And so, do Metacritic scores really affect your purchasing decisions? You know, the latest Saints Row Reboot, it definitely got some highly mixed reviews, with a lot of people rating it 6 out of 10. You got IGN and GameSpot rating it 6 out of 10, and a lot of other publications rating it very poorly as well. So have any of y'all picked up Saints Row, and are you enjoying the game? Let me know in the comments down below. And so I did want to bring up this topic with the whole Metacritic debacle, because maybe it's a turning point of critics these days that depending on the nature of the review, some reviews are important to look into. And we see the same thing happen with Cyberpunk 2077. We've had some reviewers given PC only codes for the reviews, and it was only after launch where we started seeing the true light of day of these console port reviews. And they were looking shady at best, man. Like, y'all had it rough with Cyberpunk 2077. Now, there has been a few cases where I did enjoy my time with the game, even though that the Metacritic scores wasn't that great. And I remember when I was pretty hyped with Mass Effect Andromeda when that dropped, and even with Andromeda, those reviews were looking pretty spooky overall. But did that deter my excitement from the game? No way, fam. I definitely got that day one, and I was pretty impressed by it, I'm not gonna lie. But I do admit that some of the character writing isn't all that great compared to BioWare's original saga, the Mass Effect trilogy. But aside from that, I did enjoy the overall world building. The actual maps and the combat was actually really great in Andromeda, and I did dig the fact that it was kind of like a single player pseudo MMO where you go around the map doing side quests. It's definitely a pretty good time. But again, that's my opinion, and I do stand by the fact that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And so when it comes to some of these critic reviews, you may not necessarily vibe with some of their points and their talking points in their arguments. But looking at these Saints Row reviews, bro, they're looking pretty shady, man. And when you got reviews talking about the actual performance of the game, that's not a good look, bro. Like, we got some reviews talking about the game breaking bugs, the overall technical issues are pretty shady, and the fact that the graphics aren't looking up to par with today's standards. It's definitely looking like the last gen, or even you can argue that it looks like the PS3 and Xbox 360 gen when you look at some of these character models and their faces. So overall it's not a good look for Saints Row. And so when we go back and come back to the topic of the Metacritic review debacle, I do think that Metacritic as a whole really doesn't deserve much of your attention. But when you have middling reviews that cater to Saints Row, for example, and you look at each and every review and they're talking about the technical aspect, the game breaking bugs, and on top of that, you add the fact that the game looks like a borderline PS3, PS4 style game, and the QA messed up still? Bruh, Volition, y'all done messed up, man. It's a wrap. It's donezo. Y'all in left field right now. And y'all was throwing CD Projekt Red under the bus? Bro, listen. We gonna give CD Projekt Red the flowers at this point. Like, what they've done with Cyberpunk 2077, at least on the PC version, is pretty good for its time, man. And if they had a couple of more years to work on Cyberpunk 2077 on the console versions, and if they released it this year, like, it would have been a totally different experience at launch. Like, that would have been such a good time. Right now would have been a really good time for Cyberpunk to be launched. And it's just sad how things turned out, and people review bombed Cyberpunk 2077 because of the same fact. But low-key, this is the W for the critics. Do the critics finally deserve our attention? And it's interesting how they made the comeback here. Like, we went from IGN's review of Pokemon Too Much Water. We went from the leak that apparently critics don't play and finish the games. And now we're at the point where critics made the fair assessment of Saints Row. So, it's definitely a pretty interesting turning point here, and this is one of those cases where actually reading the critic reviews can determine your overall experience with the said game. So yeah, that's just my 2 cents, man, and let me know what y'all think. Do you still use critic reviews to influence your purchasing decisions, or are you gonna still use it as a case-by-case basis? Make sure y'all leave a like and a comment, and let me know what y'all think. And so, this is your boy Theslykrow signing off. Catch you on the next one. Peace.